Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Live With It. I am Sarah Lane, and this is the show where the DTNS family of folks hangs out with a gadget or a service or just some doohickey long enough that they get a really good sense of whether or not it's worth it for them and whether or not it might be worth it for you. Today, joining me is a small indie podcast host. You've probably never heard of him, but he's big in Brooklyn. Tom Merritt, how are you?
Oh, Sarah, thanks for having me on. This is great. I finally got my big break.
Yeah. I know you've been, playing sort of smaller shows, but you'll be Taylor Swift Stadium in no time.
Thanks. I appreciate the confidence.
But all kidding aside, yes, Tom is with us today on Live With It. Tom has all sorts of stuff that he's been living with, so you're going to see him on the show more often as we go into the new year. But today, Tom, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the thing I'm looking at right now on the video version, which is my Elgato Facecam 4K. This is a webcam, so it just plugs right into your laptop or your computer by USB, and then gives you a 4K video capability.
Okay, so what were you using beforehand?
Before, and I still have it, is a Panasonic GH3 DSLR camera, which is very good. It's a very good camera, but it requires you to use an adapter. I was actually using Elgato's adapter to take the signal out of the DSLR and turn it into a usable signal for StreamYard and the other things that we use.
Now, were you having problems with the DSLR? Why the upgrade to the Elgato?
I was not, but I was fascinated with the idea that we could have all of the advantages and the quality of the big honkin' DSLR in a more adaptable form factor. So the Elgato Facecam 4K is really functionally, or I guess form factor wise, no different than the classic Logitech C920, right? It's a little bigger than that, but it's something you could fit in a bag, and you just plug it in by USB. You don't have to have an adapter or anything like that. Whereas my Panasonic DSLR, I'm not going to want to throw it in a bag. It's pretty big. You don't want it to break. So I wanted something like maybe I could use on the road and still have the same visual that I have when I'm here in the studio. But also, I just love the idea of not having to turn it on, because the Panasonic, I would turn on when I would use it, and then I have to remember to turn it off because you don't want to just leave the camera on. It'll burn it out eventually. Whereas the Facecam just automatically turns itself on and off.
Yeah, the Logitech C920, which many people use, is what I'm using right now. I've had it for years. It works fine.
It's a workhorse, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great little cam, and it is small, like you mentioned. So you've got the Elgato. I'm going to guess that it is a lot cheaper than buying a DSLR out of the gate.
Yeah, a little bit. It's $199.99, which expensive compared to the C920, which you can find for less than $100.
Yeah, more like $50 at this point.
Way, way cheaper than a DSLR, which is easily going to go above $900, probably above $1,000. And you're going to get more than you need. That's the other thing. A DSLR is meant for photography. It can do video, and it does it very well, but you don't need all that. Whereas $200 for a 4K webcam, that's exactly what I need in this situation.
Okay, so you've got a $200 webcam that you're using and you're liking. So let's talk about some of the specs. It's 4K, but what are we talking here? Sensors and is there software that is incorporated in this where you have some control over what it looks like?
Yeah, it's 4K, but really in practice you're getting 2160p 30 frames per second. You can go up to 2160 60 frames per second. So it's gonna get you a nice, well resolved signal. And the benefit of that mostly is that even if you're using 1080p stuff, when you send more pixels, it actually can make the picture better, right? Even as it gets down res. So it's better to send more pixels than fewer. And it can do 1080p 60 frames per second. It can do 720. It can even do 540 if you need it to. It also does HDR, and it can support those at 30 frames per second across all its resolutions. 1/4-inch thread mounting point too, so I've got it on the same tripod that I used my DSLR on, and it supports filters. I've got one of the filters here. This is a what's it called? A CPL lens filter meant to reduce glare. It just screws on to the front of the Facecam, right? And so you can buy other standard camera filters that are in this size, 49 millimeters, and just, thread them on the way you would on another camera. So if you have a 49 millimeter lens camera and you've got filters for it, those will work on the Elgato Facecam as well.
Now, you're mentioning this particular filter. Do you use that filter? Because I know you wear glasses and you've got lights in your studio, and glare is always an issue for us.
Yeah, I originally was using it, and I found that it didn't totally cut the glare down. And as you can see, if you're watching the video, it definitely darkens the screen.
The overall shot. Yeah.
It takes out some of the light. I'm also using the Elgato prompter, which also takes out some of the light. I think if I wasn't using the prompter, I probably would use this and it would help with some of the glare. But since it doesn't totally eliminate it, and it does darken it more than I need to with the prompter in the way, I kept the prompter and I unscrewed the CPL filter.
So hardware aside, well, actually, before we get into software, you mentioned that it's on a tripod. Is this something that could clamp onto the top of your computer if need be?
It comes with a clamp that screws into that thread, the same thread that I'm using to attach it to my my tripod. You can screw into this little clamp, and then just like you do with any other webcam, you could just prompt it onto a monitor or something like that.
Okay, so let's talk about software. Does this come with any software accessories where you can play around with, I don't know, depth of field or do anything filter-wise that's on the software side?
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about it. It uses the Elgato Camera Hub. So if you already have that for another Elgato product, it'll plug right into it. I had it for the prompter, so it plugs right into that. But you can download it and get it for the Facecam if the Facecam is your first Elgato product or you haven't downloaded the Camera Hub before. And it allows you some DSLR level controls. So you can control contrast, saturation, sharpness. You can adjust the exposure. Even if you can have that be automatic, but you can dig into metering, shutter speed, the dynamic range, even compensation. It allows you to set white balance either automatically or on your own. You can set it yourself. And it has some noise reduction and anti-flicker in there as well. And then there's the typical stuff that you can do in this kind of software with most cameras, which is zoom, changing the field of view, pan and tilt the frame as well. But the coolest part of this, from what I've experienced, is that you can save the presets to the camera so that even if you move it to a different machine, as long as you've got the Camera Hub software installed on that machine, the Facecam carries its settings with it.
Nice. Yeah, that is actually, that has been an issue with me with pretty much every webcam I've ever used. If I'm in a hurry and I'm, I don't know, on the go or on the road or something, it's like, oh no. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that you've already got the Elgato teleprompter. And so these two work together. Obviously, they're the company hopes you would use them in tandem. Is there any big improvement using the teleprompter with this over, say, your Panasonic DSLR?
No, in fact, it's the opposite. There's a little bit of a downgrade at the moment. With the Panasonic, I was able to use a screw-on faceplate. So you could actually screw a faceplate onto the Panasonic's threads, and then it would go right into the back of the prompter, which meant there would be no other light getting in there between the lens and the front of the prompter. When I switched to the Facecam, the faceplate for the DSLR doesn't work with this size of a lens. And so I had to switch to what they call the shroud, which is fine. It works okay. It's just a black shroud over the back of the camera that you can lift up to see the camera when you need to. But it's not as tightly controlling as that faceplate. They say they are making a faceplate for the Elgato Facecam 4K, but as of this recording, I haven't seen that come out yet.
Well, one would think you're probably not alone for those. And Rob Dunwood, I know he's an Elgato fan as well. You know, for those who like the line of products and want to use them together, this would probably be something that Elgato should be working on. All right, so we know why you got it. Portability, just kind of form factor. We know how you're using it because you do a lot of podcasting, turns out.
I'm using it right now.
Using it right now. So you mentioned what's good about it, and some drawbacks. If somebody is looking to buy a webcam, maybe they're getting into, well, it doesn't even have to be podcasting, but something where you're going to need a really better than decent camera, in your office or wherever you are, a lot of the time. Do you feel like $200 is a good price point?
I feel like it is a good price point, and I feel like if you like the controls, if you like being able to adjust things like saturation and metering and white balance and all of that, you're going to love this. Even if you don't want to use the controls and you just want to use the defaults, it's really good. I don't think I've been able to get it to look as good as the Panasonic DSLR. It's close, but I don't think it's as good of a camera as that at this point. I don't know how much of that is because I had 2 filters on it with the prompter and this, and it's taking me a while to dial in the settings. I found the settings to be a little fiddly. It's just not exactly what I need. Also, because I have the prompter, I have the camera a little farther back, which means I had to zoom in a lot more and I had to tilt down a lot more. Not everybody's going to have that situation, especially if you're just going to have it sitting on top of your monitor. And I think it works really well in the more casual situations. So the more casual your use case is, the better of an upgrade this is going to be. But I don't think it's necessarily, if you're really happy with the DSLR setup or some, much higher quality camera, I wouldn't ditch that for this one at this point, unless there's something wrong with that camera.
Yeah, right. Or you're just trying to, I don't know, get something that fits into a backpack much more
right.
easily.
Or if you need another camera for another situation like I was talking about. Yeah.
For most of our DTNS shows, we don't do a ton of show and tell. I mean, sometimes we do, but have you noticed, because with the C920, the Logitech that I'm using, I have my depth of field set like pretty much exactly where I'm sitting right now. So my background is slightly blurred. I just think it looks a little bit nicer. Total personal preference. But whenever if I'm going to show you my lip gloss, and I start doing this, it's pretty good at following that. Okay, yeah, it does pretty well, but I know that can be a pain point for folks who do a lot more of that sort of thing where it's like, is it following the action appropriately? Yeah.
I did not use autofocus on the Panasonic because it moved around too much in our experience. So Joe, our video producer, was like, let's just focus each time. Let's not have it autofocus. So I couldn't use the Panasonic that way. The Facecam doesn't have a focus setting here, right? It's just going to do its own focusing. I don't have any lip gloss, but I do have this Sharpie, and it's pretty good.
That works.
Yeah. I'm holding it as close as I can, and it's getting a little blurry as I get real close, but it's not bad. You can see it.
It's doing its best too.
Yeah, and it's not losing my focus when it does that, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's important.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, I don't know. We do so many shows together that I'm like, I know what Tom looks like, so I'm not super focused on what camera you're using all the time. But if you didn't tell me that you would switch cameras, I wouldn't know. I mean,
it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah. No, it's, and I know you're not using the anti-glare filter right now, but your shot looks pretty pristine to me.
Yeah, as long as I hold my eyes right here.
yeah, I know. Every time I wear glasses,
as soon as I go there, it's like, ah.
All right, so for anybody who's like, all right, what's the big takeaway from this?
I think I am going to continue to use it. I have the Panasonic DSLR literally sitting on the ground below the tripod in a safe place where I'm not going to step on it, in case I want to immediately go back and switch to it. And it's been there since August. So I love the fact that I can just sit down, wake my computer, and it wakes the camera, and it looks decent. I don't love that I have to fiddle with it some more, but I don't have to manually focus every time I sit down. So overall, the trade-off has been a positive one for me, even if there's a little bit of a quality degradation. Like you're saying, it's not so much of a quality degradation that it's not worth the conveniences and advantages that I've gotten from it too. Isn't
that fun when you have something that costs more and is, objectively the better product, and you're like, yeah, it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
I found something that's cheaper that works just
convenience
as well.
Really does trump fidelity.
Yeah, I've got a closet full of expensive items that I'm like, I could use them, but do I need to?
And that camera is like 7 years old at this point. Right. So it's not like I bought it last week and then, oh, wait a minute, now I got this Elgato. It's got, it's held its value. It certainly could be resold if I don't want to use it for anything else, but I also can use it for other stuff. So I don't feel bad about it. But it is funny to go, from something that costs, close to $1,000 to something that's $200 and you're like, it's close enough. It's good.
Yeah. Well, Tom Merritt, thank you so much for telling us all about the Elgato Facecam. I was going to say webcam. Elgato Facecam 4K. For $200, you got a pretty great situation. Of course, lighting and your whole office or wherever you are set up also comes into play with these sorts of things. But looks real nice, and it sounds like you're very happy with it.
Yeah, we're happy together. So I think I'll be keeping this one for a while.
Now, I was about to say, which I do with everybody who comes on Live With It, hey, Tom, where can we find out more about your work? But that seems a little silly. But even though obviously dailytechnewsshow.com is where Tom and I both work, as well as many of our colleagues that you know and love, you are doing some new streaming stuff throughout the week.
Yeah, so if you're on the DTNS YouTube channel or Twitch channel, I stream office hours Monday and Tuesday where I answer emails, talk to the chat room. It's just a more laid-back thing. We do a hangout on Fridays where, again, I bring guests on and we just do a more laid-back chat about technology. And I have a free newsletter. If you want to just keep up with all the different things I do, you can check that out at freetomnewsletter.com.
Excellent. Well, that is going to wrap up this episode of Live With It. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed this show, remember also, we can only do shows like this with your continued support, and we are so appreciative of all our patrons over on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/DTNS to learn more. I am Sarah Lane. Thank you for being with us, and you've been living with it.